There is a brand new proposed alignment for Major League Baseball if and when it expands to 32 teams. And I know on multiple levels that Braves fans are going to be real PO'd about this. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Cole out this week. He is in Nicaragua doing great things down there. It's you, me, and it's John and the Tolos and everybody watching on the stream all day long, all the way up until 7 o'clock. Tolo means turn it on, leave it on. And if you are already listening right now, I expect and demand you listen all the way until 7 when this thing is done, right? We don't jump out early. We don't quit early. We go all the way to the end together. It's like Sam and Frodo, right? You go all the way to the end together. But Atlanta Braves fans, we're going to get into this proposed new alignment. This is not just some quack on the internet who made this up. This was sent out by MLB on Fox, and there's something very interesting in addition to the alignment that I think you might find fascinating. We'll get to that here in just a second, but the Atlanta Braves obviously did not get the win last night on the road in Seattle. It was a good start to the game. It was an amazing start to the game. Drake Baldwin went yard. Matt Olson went yard. Ozzie Albies went yard. Austin frickin' Riley, after I spent the entire show dogging his ass about not being able to be consistent in the game 3 versus the Rockies, he goes yard, and he went, I think, 2 for 4 in the game with a home run. Career home run number 300 for Matt Olson. Congratulations to him. A new personal record for consecutive games with a hit. It's 16 games for Ozzie Albies. Congratulations to him. We also saw the return of Sean Murphy. That didn't go amazing, right? Not great at the plate. 0 for at the plate, and he blew both of the Braves' challenges in incorrect attempts to get a pitch call overturned. So Sean Murphy's debut back into the lineup was not great, but Drake Baldwin, he's doing his duty for the team. He understands I'm still the young guy, and he was DHing last night, DHing leadoff, which was fascinating. You don't normally see a leadoff DH hitter, but he hit a leadoff home run. So the Braves felt like they were out of the gate fast, and they were. They played really well up until the point that they didn't. When hometown pitcher J.R. Ritchie got his second start in the bigs, he was pitching in a ballpark that he attended a game as a fan in last year. That's a great story. Everybody's got to be from somewhere, right? J.R. Ritchie is from just up the road from Seattle. He grew up a Mariners fan. Dewey, I'm sure, will message in on the stream at some point today saying that J.R. Ritchie needs to be cut and fired because he's clearly a sleeper agent for the Seattle Mariners. But, he was there in the ballpark at a Mariners Tigers playoff game just last year as a fan, and now he's pitching there, and he was great. Got out of a big jam there and was able to pitch really well until things fell off in, I believe it was the 5th or maybe it was the 6th inning. He gave up a 3-run bomb, and that made it a 1-run ball game. He was taken out. Tyler Kenley came in. He gave up a 2-run bomb to follow that. And then the Mariners started finding gaps, and they took off. And that was ball game. The Braves just couldn't get it done in the late innings. But let's talk about Sean Murphy's return for a minute. Tolos, if you got something to say, 844-326-3663. 844-FAN phone is how you can text in and how you can call into the show. Sean Murphy hitting in the 7 spot, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. And defensively, he was fine. He did give up a stolen base. But I'm not putting all that on Sean Murphy. J.R. Ritchie's wind-up move isn't the fastest. So, if I'm the Mariners, I'm going to be aggressive. A young pitcher and a catcher that's just now coming back off of the injured reserve list, I'm going to steal off of that guy and see what I can do. They only gave up 1, so it's not the worst thing that ever happened. But I did find it interesting that Sean Murphy blew both of the Braves' challenges on pitches that, when we're watching on TV, we can see that little rectangle. We can kind of get a good sense of how close a pitch was or wasn't. Sean Murphy, I would have to assume, has been training on ABS in his ramp up to return to action for the Braves. But he, I don't know, needs some more time on the simulator, I guess. Needs some more time, needs to see some more out of the zone pitches because he kind of screwed the Braves over there. But, you know, I get it. You got to get him back in the lineup. You got to see what he can do. He's a Gold Glover from 5 years ago. He was an All-Star 2 years ago. He's a great catcher. He's far more experienced than Drake Baldwin. And again, Drake Baldwin is playing amazing baseball right now. So, you know, again, it's an embarrassment of riches if you can have your backup hitter coming in and hitting, or backup catcher coming in and hitting home runs in the leadoff spot. That's a great problem to have for Walt Weiss. And I am happy for Walt that he's got to figure out what to do with all this talent, right? That's a different kind of challenge. Elsewhere in the division, the Phillies beat the Marlins 1-0. Mets beat the Rockies 4-2. The NL East just absolutely victimizing the Rockies. I did hear one play-by-play announcer. I don't remember which game it was in, the Braves-Rockies series, but he said, "These are not the Rockies of old." Yeah, about that. They have now lost 4 straight to the NL East. Nationals were off. As of right now, the Braves lead the division 25-11 record. Marlins and Nationals are both 8.5 games back. The Phillies are 9.5 games back, and the Mets are, well, hopeless. I mean, they're 11.5 games back, all the way back there. Might as well be, you know, on the other side of the country. But this is what I found really interesting, Tolos, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Let's open up the dialogue, 844-326-3663. What do you think about this? MLB on Fox released a graphic that completely realigns Major League Baseball on east-west lines. Now, this is where it's really going to upset some Braves fans, right? I mean, baseball fans in general are traditionalists. Braves fans are just as traditional as the rest. And, you know, the Braves are NL East, always have been. Well, guess what? Guess what? This is part of something Rob Manfred has been pushing for a while now. Now that he wants the league to go from 30 to 32 teams. We'll get into expansion candidates a tiny bit more in this segment. We already talked about it last week. But here's where Braves fans are going to be angry. You ain't going to be in the NL anymore. No more National League for the Braves, even though you were charter members of the National League. Sorry, y'all are going to be American League now. And the realignment will be as such. The American League will essentially take the eastern half of the country. The National League will take the western half of the country. Basically the way most major sports are split. NFL is not split that way, but the NBA is split that way. Hockey is split that way. The AL Northeast, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, and Phillies. There will be an AL Mid-Atlantic with the Orioles, Nationals, Pirates, and Chicago Cubs. Sorry, no, that's Cleveland. Excuse me. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Washington, Baltimore. There will be an AL Great Lakes with the Twins, Tigers, Brewers, and Blue Jays. And the AL Southeast, the Atlanta Braves, Miami Marlins. I almost said Florida Marlins. Miami Marlins, Tampa Bay Rays, and the Charlotte team. Whoa. Like, I know that this is unofficial, and I know that like there's still multiple rounds and maybe years until expansion happens. And we talked about this, who the leading candidates on the eastern side of the United States and North America are. It's Montreal, Nashville, Raleigh, Charlotte, Orlando. And my money says Nashville's probably going to be the one to get it. If it came to North Carolina, for a lot of the reasons that we've already gotten into, I think it should probably be Raleigh and the triangle that gets it. And then you would have 2 major sports in Raleigh, 2 major sports in Charlotte. But this graphic right here, put out by MLB on Fox, this is not, again, this is not just some schmo. They have on the graphic, Charlotte team. That's really interesting. JB, the OG Tolo, says, actually, back in the early 90s, the Braves were in the NL West. Well, I said they were charter members of the National League. But I take your point. 69 and 93, they were in the NL West. Well, I was 9 in 93, so I didn't care too much about what division the Braves were in 1993. I didn't care about that. I liked the cursive A, and that's all I knew about the Atlanta Braves. I'm a youngin', what can I say? But that's wild, right? Braves, Marlins, Rays, Charlotte in the AL Southeast. Now, the NL Midwest, if we want to go through all 32 proposed teams, you'd have Cubs, White Sox, Cardinals, Reds, NL Central, Rockies, Royals, Rangers, and Astros. In the NL Southwest, you'd have LA, San Diego, the Angels of Anaheim, and the Arizona Diamondbacks. In the NL Northwest, Seattle, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and Portland team. Portland. Well, nah, it can't be Portland, right? Can't be Portland. Ugh. I'd rather it be Vancouver than Portland. And I get what that sounds. That's me as an American. American saying, let Vancouver have it, because of the other candidates that were in the Pacific Northwest or on the western half of the country, none of them got me excited, right? I mean, like, one of the options was Oakland. Like, they're not going back to Oakland. Oakland just lost a team. They're not sending a team back to Oakland. So Portland, I guess Portland it is. So AL Southeast, Braves, Marlins, Rays, Charlotte. That's interesting. And part of the whole idea from Rob Manfred is this push will reduce travel, reduce strain on the players. I mean, that's all good, right? It'll also eliminate these weird, wonky 9:40 first pitches like the Braves have had these last couple of nights. Like, yeah, they're still going to be playing games out west occasionally. There's still going to be interleague play, but the majority of your games are going to be in your National League, or in this case, American League. American League games, most of them, obviously, you'll get a large chunk of them being, God, what's the name of this? It'll take me a while. AL Southeast Division. So think about this. If you're living in Greenville, or if you're living in Atlanta, your farthest road trip is Miami. But you can easily get down to Tampa. You could easily get up to Charlotte from there. And especially for us right here in the upstate of South Carolina, we're smack in the middle of the two teams. So if you are a longtime diehard Braves fan and you're going to stay a Braves fan, guess what? You can watch, you can drive down to Atlanta to catch all those games, and you can drive up to Charlotte to catch those games. You're halfway in between. I mean, it is Goldilocks zone if you are a Major League Baseball fan here in the upstate of South Carolina. I can only imagine what our next caller has to say about this. John, can I get you to agree to something? Would you give me $1 for every time Dewey says the word fired in this call?
Yeah.
He'll give me $1. Okay. Dewey, I don't want to change the way you call the show. So I'm not trying to stack the deck here, but who needs to be fired?
First of all, Cole needs to be fired.
That's $1.
Well, you need it for gas.
Yeah, it's true. My wife texted me and says it jumped 30 cents last night.
I understand Cole not coming to work because gas
there
prices
we go.
are high.
Bam,
but y'all should take turns. Like, he comes to work Monday, then you take Tuesday off, and then y'all need to cancel Ingles because that's a trip, and that's costing the company gas.
Well, the company pays me, so I got to pay for it. It's not costing the company gas; it's costing me gas.
Well, the company should compensate for that. The Ingles should give you money.
They do. It's called a talent fee. We get paid for this, do we?
Well, they should give you a raise because gas prices are high, and you got to somehow come to work. The next thing you know, we're going to be walking. I walk anyways, but we're going to be walking and taking the horses and buggies and carriages. But anyways, on the subject of new divisions, it's a travesty.
Why?
Divisions need to stay the way they are.
Why?
Because it's just ruining baseball by adding more divisions. You got to have a Northwest division, a Southeast division, and
You already have that now, though. You already have divisions that are mildly geographically aligned. What's the issue here, Dewey?
Well, it's just you're just adding more teams, and then you're taking away the games. Next thing you know, let's reduce games to 80, and then it's to reduce games to 40.
I don't think they're going to reduce that much.
Baseball.
I don't think it's going to go that far.
Rob Manfield, he sucked anyways. He don't know what he's doing.
What do you mean, though? Do you like ABS, yes or no?
Actually, it works. I think it's a really good program.
Do you like the pitch clock, Dewey?
It works, but I'd rather go back to the old ways.
Well, if it works, then why would you want to go back?
Well, because baseball was a unique sport where you just sit there and watch for 8 hours if needed. Now it's over in 2 hours, and then
I love it.
There's nothing else left on TV.
I got ADHD, man. I can't sit and watch a 6-hour baseball game.
Well, you drink beer and smoke cigarettes, you can watch it.
Stephen Webb messages in on the stream, and Dewey, I want to get your response to this because it's about you. Stephen Webb says, what would happen if the Strait of Hormuz was renamed the Strait of Dewey? Everyone is fired. Your response?
Well, if it was the Strait of Dewey, then none of this would be happening right now, and they would be giving all their money to me.
So you're saying you would rule the Strait of Hormuz with an iron fist, is what you're saying?
Yes, but instead the Ayatollah rules it.
Okay. But you could be the Ayatollah, Dewey.
Yeah, but then I have to renounce my religion, and that would be horrible.
Thanks for the call, Dewey. There you go. So there you go. Proposed new divisions. The Charlotte team was name dropped in this graphic. The Portland team was name dropped in this graphic. Again, none of this is official. None of this really amounts to anything. It's just a fun thought exercise. You could put it in Raleigh. It'd be basically the same, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I knew that Braves fans would be up in arms and would be in a tizzy about this because change is bad if you're a baseball fan, and it always has been, and it always will be. We might jump back into this a little bit later on in the show, but it is time right now to jump off to a break because we have a very special brand new guest that we've never had on the show before. She covers South Carolina athletics. She covers golf. She covers horse racing. She covers a lot of different things for USA Today and College Wire out of Columbia. We'll be talking to Lauren Beasley, LB Knows Ball on Twitter, next on the Fan Upstate. always love bringing in some fresh blood, some new perspectives, and now a brand new guest. Never had her on the show before, but we changed that right this moment. Lauren Beasley at LB Noseball on Twitter is where you can find her, and definitely follow her for her work. Welcome to the show, Lauren. I don't know if you've ever been on the air in the upstate, but glad to have you here.
I have not. It's the first for me, so
Sweet.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Right out of the gate, you and I have never chatted before, so this is one of those big time get to know you questions. Okay, I'm going to really find out where Lauren Beasley stands on the biggest, most important issues, and this is not a facetious question. Okay, given the state, because I know you just wrote a piece about this, that's why I'm asking. Given the state of college athletics that they're in today, given the political climate that we're in and how it pertains to governing college sports, given how litigious the ravenous pack of attorneys are, anytime the NCAA tries to implement rules, in your opinion, is student-athlete employment the path forward?
That's a tough question, and it comes with a lot of a lot of strings attached. I think when they created the NIL and let it loose, they had no idea that it would be this big. Obviously, it started as, just being recognized for your name, image, likeness, being compensated for that. I don't think that ever thought they would be navigating $1 million deals with it. I was just on a panel, listened in on a panel recently about this, and even some of the state lawmakers, because, every state has a different rule book for how they're handling it. And now the federal government is trying to step in. I don't think that the federal government is going to be able to do anything anytime soon. I think it's going to be much, much further down the road if they really get online and on board with it all. But even the state lawmakers seem to, they all want to be on the same board, but, it's hard to get all states to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. But they did have the same thing in common. They all want what's best for the student athlete. So at least we have that foundation going forward. But it's a messy, messy thing. And I think it's going to be a very long time before anything's resolved.
Yeah. It seems like employment is the thing that everybody is desperately trying to avoid, but maybe I'm just naive here and I'm not foreseeing the consequences of this. But if you make student athletes employees, you can implement enforceable contracts. You can collectively bargain with them. You can start to make a new stable structure, even though it might not be the athlete crushing model that a lot of people for some reason want to go back to. Up until Ed Banyan said, "I'll see you in court." I don't see the problem with employment. But I'm sure there are pitfalls down the road that I can't even foresee.
Yeah, and when you get into employment like that, then you have health insurance, and do you give them benefit? Like, where do you draw the line between being an employee and then being having these deals like they are now? But I see pros and cons of both sides of it. I just don't know what the answer is, and I'm not sure anybody really does at this point.
Lauren Beasley, USA Today and College Wire. You cover a little bit of everything. You cover the Gamecocks. You cover a lot of golf, horse racing. You're also a bourbon aficionado, so I know our Tolos are going to love that. So you were all over the Kentucky Derby last weekend. And, anytime we bring up horse racing, you get like 90-10, like 10% care, 90% don't care. You're in that 10% that really, really does care. So tell me why it's so good for you.
Well, so my mom's best friend is the heir to a ketchup fortune, one of the Heinz, and she raises horses. So I've been around horses like growing up, and steeplechase in Aiken, all that. I love riding horses too. The Derby has always been so fun. It feels, the hats are absurd, it meant tulip, and of course I love bourbon. So of course you immediately have my attention anytime bourbon is involved. But it's so much fun to watch. It's the greatest sporting event that lasts just a few minutes. And the build-up is the best part of it. But I feel like this Derby really got more exposure than the last few Derbies. And the storylines that they had throughout the entire week were incredible. You had So Happy, that wasn't even supposed to be in the race. They purchased the horse for like $20,000, which is really cheap for a racehorse. And then the trainer's wife passed away months before the Derby, and he's wearing a bracelet that's got his wife's ashes, and everybody's, pulling at heartstrings. I wrote about it and I'm crying while I'm writing about it. And then you have, the brothers, which I did not know until recently. There's actually been 11 sets of brothers that have raced in the Derby, which is amazing. And the Ortiz brothers have raced 9 times, I believe, 8 or 9 times together. So for them to finish first and second was incredible to watch. So to see the Golden Tempo come from behind like that, he was a 23-1, chance to win, and overtook Renegade, who was the favorite, but he had a bad post position, and it was incredible to watch. And then the first female trainer, this Derby was just fantastic with all the storylines, but it's so much fun to see them race too. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people either care and they'll have Derby parties or whatever, or they're like, oh yeah, the Derby, the horses are fun and they have cute names or whatever.
So yeah, I mean, for most people, it's the 2.5 minutes of watching the Derby, or maybe it's a 15-second clip on TikTok or on Twitter that's all people see. It's a list of silly names, an interesting fun race, and then nothing for 2 weeks until you get to the Preakness. And then a lot of times it seems to disappear. I mean, maybe professional horse racing needs to give us something in the weeks in between. Do you know if there's anything that they do that maybe I'm just not exposed to that helps kind of bridge the gap between these major events?
No, they just have the training, and being just a couple of weeks apart, they're still sort of back to back to back. And I think people look for the horse to take, the Triple Crown and to win all 3 races. But I read sometime this weekend that the Derby was actually leaning more towards like these influencers, kind of, and they dealt with that with the Masters tournament also, where these TikTok people were coming, but it gives the tournaments and like the Derby more exposure. So the Derby was kind of trying to lean into that without overexposing themselves, and their viewership was a lot higher than it's been, and actually betting was a lot higher this year than it's been in the last couple of years too. So I think, the influencers just want to be seen at these big events, but it's good that they're at least using that, to their advantage for these events also.
Lauren, you've got a piece up right now, collegesportswire.usatoday.com, about the momentum that Shane Beamer has built on the recruiting trail. It seems like he's always really good at building that momentum, getting the headlines for the guys that he's able to bring in. But, the problem in the SEC is that everybody is bringing in talented guys. And it really, to me, it's where coaching matters more than anywhere else, because now you've got to be able to develop them and squeeze 99.9% of their potential out of them, or you end up in second or third to last place. So how convinced are you that this new staff, coaches Clements, Drayton, Barnes, and Smiley, are going to be able to maybe extract more out of this crop, this 2026 team, than the staffs over at Auburn or Florida or Kentucky?
That's a great question. And being a Gamecock fan my entire life, it's the hype that you have on the off season and the buildup of the first few games, and then the complete letdown mid-season throughout the end of the season. It's a roller coaster being a Carolina fan, but Shane Beamer can recruit his butt off. He is fantastic on the off season. I think that he got really mad at the end of the year, last season, and he has really taken it out on the recruiting trail, because he has brought in some, just this past weekend with like Judah Lancaster and, John Archer, there was so many, and there's several official visits also. I don't know what to expect this year. You're talking about, 9-4 season, 2024, and then 4-8 season last year, and just the highs and lows. And I think fans are on that cusp of being ready to just sell their season tickets, or, just watch it from home now and turn it off when you get to the halftime. Beamer's got quite a hot seat heading into the season this year. And I think we had a hard schedule. The back half of the schedule is is brutal with Florida, Tennessee, and then you got Georgia and Clemson back to back at the end of the year. The first half of the season will probably be a breeze. I think, it'll be 6 wins in my opinion, but the new offensive coaches that we have, honest to God, I don't know what to expect. I hear the good things from practice, but you don't know how they're going to mesh with the players that are returning, combined with the new staff. And then, the pressure is just, being out there coming off a bad season. It'll be exciting to watch, but, this is definitely a make it or break it season for Beamer as a head coach, and also to see how this new coaching staff is going to work out in Columbia.
Does your heart tell you that Shane Beamer finishes the season as the head coach at South Carolina?
I love Shane Beamer. Yes, it does. I want to have so much hope in him, and I love that he wants to be here. Every team has a great coach that just maybe it's just not his niche to be in the city. He doesn't love it. I love Steve Spurrier, but everybody knows his heart was in Florida, even though he was a great coach. But I think Beamer absolutely wants to be here and succeed, and I want to see him succeed. And I think this year, like I said, it'll be make it or break it. But in my heart of hearts, and I'm very jaded sometimes, and sometimes I also have rose-colored glasses, I think that Carolina will pull it out this year and at least have enough wins to get him off the hot seat and keep him for a few more years.
Lauren, you do a phenomenal job covering golf in the state of South Carolina. I saw you covering a couple of weeks ago. I'm assuming now you're probably covering the Myrtle Beach tournament this weekend. Is that right?
Actually, I'm going to the Truist. I'm leaving first thing in the morning to head up there. I wish I could be 2 places at one time because I do like Myrtle Beach, but unfortunately, my credentials are with the Truist this week. And but then the Corn Ferry is coming to Columbia, which is huge for the city. That's fantastic with the Charity Classic. I would love to be 2 places at one time, but I'll be in Charlotte this coming week.
I mean, Quail Hollow's no slum, right? You're going to be in a beautiful place. Not a bad way to spend your weekend.
Right, exactly.
So we've talked about this on our show about how the PGA, in our opinion, kind of struggles to find a lot of footing with fans because it's bouncing around, not in a region, but all the way across the country, year in and year out. It's 3,000 miles away from where it was the week before. Do you think the PGA should settle on a single course or maybe a much, much smaller rotation? Because you know as well as I do that fans and patrons know and love Augusta National, and it's special to them. The golf course is almost as special to them as the performances on the golf course. So should the PGA kind of take something from that and shrink the number of courses it plays?
That's a good question. I think that if they would line up, instead of bouncing back and forth across the country, maybe if they had a rotation of courses just in the Southeast, like maybe South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, within a couple months, and then branch out, it might be kind of like a tour date for artists, like music artists, where they're just in a region for a couple months, and then they move to wherever, and then overseas, because then they're bouncing back overseas too. I think that would probably be better. I don't think the PGA cares, but because I feel like golf fans are diehard also. They follow. When I was covering the Masters, I did not realize how many people really keep up with the Masters and then the Heritage also. And I think after the Masters tournament, the Heritage isn't always the big tournament that people pay attention to, even if it's right after the Masters. But I felt like I was at the Heritage covering it all week, and I felt like there was more people there than there was last year, and it seemed like to get more exposure. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the influencers too. I think that exposure with people just wanting to be there. I know the Masters made more money this year. It'll be interesting to see how they crack down on all that next year. But I think it would be better for people who want to travel to these places and see these new golf courses, or they've never been to a tournament, kind of keep it localized for maybe a couple months and then move on from there. Would give people more opportunity. Yeah.
At LB Knows Ball is where you can find and follow Lauren Beasley on Twitter, on X. Here's another big question, just like the first one. Do you believe LIV will exist in 2030?
Ooh, 2030. No, I don't think so. I think when it came out, I was surprised to see something rival something as big as the PGA, but I was interested to see how it would play out. You're dealing with Saudi Arabian money out there. I wasn't sure that it would even last this long, but I was not surprised when I saw that they were pulling funding. I think this week they said that they did find an investor and they have a new board of directors. So I think it'll last a few more years, but it's so volatile. I think that, there's already players that want to come back to the PGA. They're trying to work it out. I'm not sure we'll ever see Phil Mickelson play on the PGA anymore, but I don't think he would come back. But, I understand it's a big opportunity to make some money for sure. But I think by 2030, it'll phase out and it'll just be hey, you remember that golf, live that was so long ago? But
I did see,
I don't think it'll live.
I saw this morning, I think that Phil Mickelson was put on the list for the PGA Championship coming up. So
and he withdrew this morning also.
Oh, man. So you're on it. You're more on top of it than I am. That's why we bring you on the show. Last
Personal
question.
Reasons, though.
Last question here for you. You're Rob Manfred. I'm going to give you that kind of executive power. This has been making the headlines for the last week or so. If you had the ultimate control to decide where the eastern half of the U.S. Major League Baseball expansion franchise goes, and the options were, I think, like Montreal, Nashville, Charlotte, Raleigh, Orlando, where would you put it?
Ooh. That's a good. Probably. I think North Carolina is a good spot because you can kind of pull it. It's kind of like that middle ground, kind of like Charlotte. Columbia is the same way. You just kind of have a jump off between several other states. I think that would be a good hub for it. Just kind of centralized on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Charlotte would be great. I mean, the Knights ballpark is beautiful. I know they would have to, buy up the entire city block to turn it into what Major League Baseball stadium complexes are like nowadays, because everybody wants to be the Battery, right? Everybody wants to have what the Braves have down there. I would love it. My childhood allegiances would be strained. They'd be tested because, we all grew up here. We all grew up Braves fans. But having a major league franchise there in Charlotte or even up in Raleigh would be amazing. I think so. Lauren,
I think everybody wants to be the Braves right now.
That's true. That's true. I mean, they've got a plethora of talent, and Walt Weiss has got his work cut out for him, and it's figuring out which one of his studs he's going to play today.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lauren, loved having you on. Hopefully we can bring you on more often over the course of the summer. I know the Tolos loved it. They enjoyed it. So Tolos, go find Lauren on Twitter at LB Knows Ball. USA Today, College Wire covers South Carolina, covers golf, covers all kinds of things. Anything that you do cover that we didn't touch on here. So if for Tolos love that kind of stuff, they can go find your work.
I just helped build a Texas Tech Red Raider site. So that is not in my wheelhouse, but I have been covering some of that and helping out with USA Today to build that following and that website up. So that's been an interesting learning curve for me. And their softball team is on fire. So I've learned a lot about the Red Raiders here lately. And then, of course, the Sorsby news that broke last week. So it's been an interesting follow. So that's been my latest project here. But there's hardly anything that I don't cover.
Did they break you off any of that $30 million of NIL money to build this website?
Oh, I wish.
If they did, you wouldn't be here. Yes.
Right, exactly.
Lauren, great to talk to you for the first time. Hopefully we'll chat again soon. Thanks. That is Lauren Beasley of USA Today and College Wire. Does a great job covering sports in the Southeast, especially in the state of South Carolina, all over those golf tournaments. So you want that inside look of what's going on site? She is the one to follow. She is a great person to get that information from. When we come back, Tolos, there is a controversy that really seems like it shouldn't be a controversy at all. Yet the internet, corners of the internet are losing their minds over it. But I'm totally with Fernando Mendoza on this. We'll play a piece of audio, chat about it next on the Fan Upstate. tradition in American sports in college. When you win a national championship, you get invited to the White House. And assuming you're available, you go. And that's the big part, assuming you're available. Right now, the internet is losing their minds over Fernando Mendoza saying that he doesn't plan on going to the White House to celebrate the national championship win for his Indiana Hoosiers. He says, I am going to be in Las Vegas with my team. So why is the internet world losing their minds over this? Here's that piece of audio of Fernando Mendoza being asked about attending or not attending his former team's celebration in D.C.
Are planning the trip to the White House. I think 11th, May 11th, later this month. Are you able to make that trip? Are you planning on going there?
I believe May 11th is the first day of OTAs. If I'm not mistaken, I have the calendar. However, I mean, I don't have the calendar. Sorry. Well, maybe I do. I'm sorry. I gotta check Teamworks. If it is on the first day of OTAs, like I said, I'm on the bottom of the totem pole here. I got to prove myself. I can't miss practice. I don't know anything official. I don't have the calendar, but I just wouldn't, as a rookie, I don't think that's a good look. And I want to, try to best serve my teammates. And I don't know if that'd be accomplishing that goal because this, that'd be, yeah.
God, he's such a nerd. Do you have the schedule? Do you not have the schedule? Do you have it, Fernando? Look, I mean, the internet is up in arms. Oh, if you get invited to the White House, you go to the White House. Bro, it's his first day of practice. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Why are people upset about this? Why is this might be one of the dumbest controversies ever. Like, would you go to your ex's wedding? I mean, this is what it is. He's not on that team anymore. Like, I get it's one more time to meet up with your teammates and go. And obviously in the last, 9 years, going to the White House to celebrate and meet the president has become a very politically charged thing. But it's not a politically charged thing. Like, that dude doesn't have a politically charged bone in his body. It doesn't exist within him. He is a machine to go get better at football. And his priority is to get better with his team. It's day number 1. Maybe they should reschedule the White House visit. Maybe it's a little rude of the White House to schedule it on the first day of OTAs. What do you think about that? Maybe it's not Fernando's fault. Maybe it's whoever schedules these meetings. Maybe they're the jerk. God, if you're mad at Fernando Mendoza over this, you are too far gone down into this political hole, and you got to come up for air. I don't get it. These people, man, this is a weird, wild world that we're living in, that people get mad at a guy for showing up on the first day of work. You show up with your team. That's what you do. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Texter says, JT and Greer says, it's one practice. You only get one chance to visit the White House. How do you know, JT? How do you know that? Like, it's the first practice. It's practice number 1 on day number 1 with a new team. Would you call out of work on the first day of a new job? No, you wouldn't do that. So, like, why are we having a problem with this? Like, visit, I'm sure it's an incredible experience. Like, I've never been. I'll never go. I'll never visit the White House in the same way. I'll probably never win a national championship. So I'll never go visit the White House. But come on, man. Like, it's how you ingratiate yourself. Because think about it this way. You hear it all the time. When players do something, especially quarterbacks, do something that ingratiates them with the men that they're going to go into battle with for 17 weeks out of the season. I mean, these guys got to know and trust that Fernando is doing everything he could possibly do to make the team better, to make himself better, and be a better teammate to them. Like, how did not showing up for a visit on day 1 of a new job somehow start to supersede doing what you need to do to make your current job more successful? JT says because he plays for the Raiders. Oh, he'll never get to the White House again because he plays for the Raiders. You never know. Like, what if he is amazing, right? He's not. He might be amazing. I'm saying he might not ever take the Raiders to the Super Bowl. But, like, hey, you know what? It's a scheduling conflict. It happens. It is what it is. Everybody needs to calm down. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Coming up at 4:20, we'll do the off-campus visit. We brought that onto the show last week. We'll make it a fresh version coming up at 4:22. But in the very next segment, Tolos, I'm going to need your participation with this, okay? I asked this question of Grayson Mann yesterday on the show, and I need you to get out your phones and call 844-326-3663. Your favorite bygone piece of sports equipment. I'm talking like major, you're watching the NFL, you're watching Major League Baseball, that you would bring back if safety were not an issue. Because there's a lot of equipment we don't use anymore because it's not safe to use anymore. But if you could bring back any old school look from sports, what would it be? We'll talk about it next. We started the show talking about the brand new Major League Baseball realignment proposal that is circling around. MLB on Fox posted it out there. If you haven't seen it, or if you weren't paying attention to the first segment of the show today, everything on the eastern half of the country will be American League. Everything on the western half of the country will be National League. AL Northeast, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Phillies, which I just saw a post from Barstool Sports saying that it would be terrible to put the Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, and Phillies in the same division. Why? I think that would be absolutely insane, right? I mean, like, you can't put two teams from the same city in the same division. Why? Why not? Subway Series constantly? That's amazing. It's amazing. I would eat, sleep, and breathe that if I was a Yankees and Mets fan. Plus, you put the Red Sox in there. Plus, you put the Phillies in there. You got 3 cities that hate each other. 4 if you count Brooklyn, because, I mean, Brooklyn is basically its own city. I lived in Brooklyn for a little while. Fun place. But Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies, they would be at each other's throats. It would be incredible. Where it would affect the Atlanta Braves, being on the eastern half of the country, they would be American League. They would be in the AL Southeast. And again, this is a proposal, this East-West split. This is not brand new. This is something Rob Manfred has been talking about for a long time. He wants this. He wants to reduce travel. He wants to reduce time away. You know, like, I wonder how much of this is being really pushed for by the Players Association behind the scenes. Like, hey, we want to travel less, right? That's half the reason why most of these guys joined Live Golf, right? They want to travel less. They want to be around their families more. And if you realigned in this way, it'd be a heck of a lot less travel, at least distance-wise. So the Braves would be traveling down to Miami, which they already do. They'd be traveling down to Tampa, which is on the way to Miami. And they have the AL Southeast getting the brand new expansion team. Remember, they got to get to 32 if they want to make this thing work. The expansion club, and this graphic, not saying that this is dropping any intel today here at 4:02 on Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo for everyone who celebrates. It's not Mexican Independence Day, despite what people think. They got the Charlotte team as the additional team. That's interesting. They could have put Nashville in there. They could have put Raleigh on there, but they chose Charlotte. So I don't know if they know something. I don't know if it's just their belief. I don't know if it's a common behind the scenes bit of momentum for Charlotte, but I'd be all for it. I mean, I've gone on record by saying that I think Nashville is probably the most likely to get it. And then if it came to North Carolina, I would put it in Raleigh. I'd put it in Raleigh, Durham, right there in that triangle. Maybe the Raleigh, I don't know, Raleigh Raiders, Raleigh. I like alliteration, but I would put it there. But hey, Charlotte, according to this graphic, is the front runner, and that's all we have to go off of. I think it's fascinating stuff. I think it's really interesting. Some people don't like that the both of the Chicago teams are together in the NL Midwest. A lot of people don't like that they put both Texas teams in the NL Central. A lot of people don't like the fact that you got 3 teams in Southern California. Good God, the NL Southwest, the average travel would be like 40 miles because you got the Dodgers, the Angels, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks. I mean, you got 2 teams basically in the same city there. And then it gets a little wonky in the NL Northwest because the Las Vegas Athletics will be in the Northwest. There ain't nothing Northwest about Las Vegas. If you have any sense of geography, it's down there in the state of Nevada. But they also include the Portland team. I don't know about the Portland team. I've gone on record as Vancouver would be my choice. But hey, they don't call me for these kinds of things. I just talk about it here on the radio. But what do you think, Braves fans, about being reclassified into the American League? Baseball fans are purists. They like their traditions. Being reclassified into the American League and then being lumped in with Miami, Tampa, and Charlotte. I love it. I mean, it realigns closer, obviously a lot closer to the NFL. And it brings in something that it's a theory that I've had for a long, long time. You know how, like, in the Northeast, you get heated rivalries in basketball, hockey, football, and baseball because all of those huge cities are fairly close together. and they all have all of the major sports. So 365 days a year, New Yorkers have a reason to hate Philadelphia. Philadelphians have a reason to hate Boston. Bostonians have a reason to hate Baltimore or Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or wherever. I love it, right? You create that year-round rivalry, and that keeps the fires burning even when a particular team isn't great. You got close proximity. You got city-on-city rivalry. Plus, people in the Northeast are just sour, hateful people anyway. I know we got a lot of Tolos that moved down here from the Northeast. Some of them are saying, screw you, Diesel, and that's proof, right? Screw you, what do you know? That's proof that you're sour, hateful people. But I think if you got a little taste of that here in the Southeast, I think it'd be great. Cities are a little farther apart, right? Charlotte has no real rivalry with Tampa, but Charlotte sure as heck has its rivalry with Atlanta. And Charlotte has its football rivalry right now with Tampa. I mean, it's like a city to city level, but sports, Panthers and Buccaneers, like you got a little heat there. You could add more heat to it if Tampa got an NBA team, or if the Rays moved to Orlando, and all of a sudden, Charlotte, Orlando, if they could get something going there. But hey, it's an interesting thought experiment here on a Tuesday afternoon. Tolos, don't forget that next show tomorrow, we're going to be live in Spartanburg at the Ingles Markets on Pine Street. Want to see you come out and see us. Got a $25 gift card in it for you if you come out and see the show. Check us out. Say the word Tolo. First one to do that, we'll get a $25 Ingles gift card. Here's what I want to talk about in this segment. 7 minutes in. I know, wasting time. We all love tradition, but we know that the games that we all love, football, baseball, basketball, golf, hockey, all of them, the equipment just keeps getting better and better year on year, but it doesn't look the way that it used to. So I'm speaking to the old school fan here, the ones that love the way things used to be. If you could bring back a bygone look, a piece of sports equipment, an aesthetic, as the kids say, if you could bring that back without sacrificing the advancements in safety that we've apparently gotten. I mean, we can talk about those little weird cutout windows in football helmets and whether or not they really do reduce concussions or not. I mean, like, dudes just keep getting concussions, right? I don't see that little punch panel changing a lot. But if you could bring back a bygone sports aesthetic, a piece of equipment, a look, what would it be? And who do you think of when you think about some of these bygone sports aesthetics? 844-326-3663. At Brew Fighter on YouTube. Welcome, Brew Fighter. Says Raleigh is out of the Braves TV market. Makes the most sense. I mean, I like it. And there's no Nationals fans in Eastern North Carolina. So, I mean, I think that's one of the ripest options. It would be option 2 for me behind Nashville, because Nashville's just getting everything right now. So a bygone sports equipment aesthetic that I love. I miss this look so much. And I hate watching a lot of Major League Baseball games now, because all of the players, they're always hidden behind all this equipment, right? You can't make out who's at the plate anymore. I miss the old school. They called them the Bones style. They called it the Bone style of helmet. Think like Mickey Mantle, think Roger Maris, think pre-1983 when they started mandating the double ear protection on baseball helmets, and now then it started creeping down the jawline. Eventually it'll be a full helmet with just like a little slit, like a knight riding to what do you call those things? A joust, where you can only see out of that little slit. That's what it's going to become, because I mean, if somebody's throwing a ball 104 miles an hour at your face, you want to be maximum protected. They didn't care about any of that stuff back then. The 50s, 60s, 70s, early 80s, that bone style helmet. Think about any baseball game you've been to in the last ever, and you've gotten a baseball mini helmet with ice cream in it. That's the bone style helmet. I miss those, man. I think Roger Maris, I think Mickey Mantle. That's just such a good old school look. And I know that it's not safe. And I know that we got to protect these guys' jaw lines and all that stuff. But I mean, bring that back. It's minimalistic. You know, it looked cooler. It looked like you knew you were in danger at the plate, right? It's like jumping a motorcycle without any kind of protection. That was cool. The no batting gloves look, you know, you just wrapped a couple pieces of tape around your fingers. Like, who do you think of when you think of these different styles of equipment? Let's see. Texter says Raleigh Durham Bulls would be awesome. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. I mean, like you'd have to probably dismantle the old ballpark there in Durham, but that would be amazing, Texter. Yeah, just bring the Durham Bulls into Major League Baseball. That'd be amazing. Dan B texts into the show. It says, it's just Jess's birthday. Can you shout out? Heck yeah, just Jess. I hope you're partying your face off today, or I don't know, recovering from a hangover. A happy birthday to you, Jess. I've also got a good friend whose birthday it is today, somebody that used to work on this radio station years ago. So congratulations to you both. Happy birthday to you both. Corn Chip says, let the baseball players dip tobacco again. Well, Corn Chip, that's just disgusting. Dipping tobacco is gross. But like, hey, if you want to do it, do it. I don't care if you get mouth cancer. Like, it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. Go for it, man. Knock yourself out. Let's see. Here's a good one, Texter. And we can shift here into the NFL with this one. Texter says, bring back the huge shoulder pads and neck brace like Brian Bosworth. Oh, that was intimidating, right? I mean, like, modern equipment. How is it that helmets have gotten more and more robust with all this extra padding? Like we were talking about that little cutout window and there's like 37 different face masks designs that you can have, but the pads have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, these guys are getting bigger. They're hitting harder. Yet somehow, for some reason, the pads keep getting small. I want these dudes to look like gladiators out there. I want them to look like terrifying warriors out there. And there's nothing scarier, like when I think back to watching NFL as a kid, than somebody in those gigantic shoulder pads. You know, the huge ones. Those were awesome. The neck roll was there. The giant shoulder pads. The cowboy collar, that big collar that came up. That was so damn cool. I don't care if those things are not safe anymore. Bring them back. At least bring back the giant shoulder pads. How about the single and the 2-bar football helmets? Kickers used to always wear the single bar football helmets. Those things looked cool as hell. You know, that's the aesthetic that we need to bring back. Like I asked Grayson Mann about this yesterday. He talked football. He brought a football one to us. He said, bring back the painted helmets that look like leather helmets, which kind of a cop-out answer, if you ask me. Kind of a cop-out answer because, you know, I mean, they looked cool when who was it? The Packers did it last year. They looked really cool. I'm not going to lie. But they can play in leather helmets. There is no protection whatsoever in a leather helmet. You stuff like 3 layers of newspaper under there and just go hit somebody. It's crazy. KT's Card Rack on YouTube. What's up, KT's Card Rack? Says, loved those pads and bionic Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was a monster. He looked like he was 15 feet tall in those pads. He looked enormous. I mean, he was enormous, and he was a scary dude because, let's face it, he probably killed somebody. But we don't know that. It's never been confirmed. I'm with you. Ray Lewis was scary as hell. Brian Bosworth was scary as hell. All these dudes back in the day, they looked terrifying. Like, I know that the NFL wants to appear to be kinder, softer, gentler. Nah, make them look scary. Put spikes on them. I don't know. Anything. How about with hockey? Are you, anybody here a hockey fan? Which, by the way, the Hurricanes got it done last night. I told you they were going to go to Philly with a 2-0 lead. Didn't look like it for a little while. Ooh, I was a little nervous. They went into overtime, got late into the first overtime, scored that win. But how about no helmets for skaters? How much of a psychopath did you have to be back in the 50s and 60s, back in the Gordie Howe days, to go out there without a helmet on? Think about it. I mean, I know these dudes were not slamming each other the way that they are now, but playing hockey without a helmet on, with pucks flying, these guys are already missing teeth. Some of them, do any of them? I don't know if any of them actually wear a full face mask. I think you have to do it in youth hockey. But once you get into the NHL, nobody's got any teeth. You know, your teeth, your chiclets are still exposed. But I would bring that back if it wasn't incredibly dangerous. I would definitely. This is the one for me out of all of them, and I'm with the skull, the bone style batting helmets. I'm with the giant shoulder pads, but I want to bring back that Jason Voorhees looking goalie mask. You know, the one that Clark W. Griswold pulls over his face when he gets out his chainsaw. Yeah, that one. That's scary. Bring that back. It looked like a skull out there, especially with like lo-fi television. You couldn't see anything. It just looked like a skull on ice. That was cool. That was cool. And of course, in the NBA, you could bring back the short shorts. You could bring back the Converse high tops. In golf, you could bring back the hickory shafted golf clubs, but I don't know that would change a whole lot. With NASCAR, though, and this is really just the Dale Sr. look, because he was just a picture of cool. It's the open face helmets and just the goggles. Like there was no cooler look than that. Everybody else looks the same with the giant fishbowl on their heads now, but the open face helmet and goggles, that was a look. Dewey says, should wear no protection. We become a bounce of panty. I think he's saying a bunch of, good God, Dewey, a bunch of pansies. No protection at all, ever. We've become a bunch of pansies. Hey, if these guys can find a way to not get hurt, I'm all for it. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryce. And when we come back, Tolos, let's do, it's not really a daily wires. It's a mini whip around of college athletics. So the biggest happenings on campus, but you and I are off campus. So this is our weekly off campus visit. That's next. I think the hardest thing to deal with if I was a Braves fan would be playing in the American League. Now that's just feels wrong. But hey, that could happen if Rob Manfred gets his way. We split this thing east and west. I mean, there's NL fans out west who would hate to be AL, and there's AL fans out west that would hate to be NL. I mean, like, it's just, it is what it is. When you change, you either have to reinvent all brand new names, which everyone will hate, or you just repurpose the names that you already got. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson to close out the last topic that we had here on the show. Bringing back old school sports aesthetics. JT and Greer says, just bring back true stock cars to NASCAR. I'm with you, JT. What was the saying? Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. I mean, think how many more Mustangs they would sell. Number one, if they weren't $85,000 to buy a new Mustang or a new Camaro. You could also actually make the road version of a Toyota Camry cool, because good Lord, Toyota Camry just doesn't sound tough. You need to bring Dodge back into NASCAR in some way. And you're right. Make them stock cars. Make it be a vehicle that you had to go to a dealership to buy. You take it to a shop. You soup it up within whatever rules you got, and then go out there and race them. See who's got the fastest car. Make them change their design and make the cars cooler. That's what they used to do back in the day. They used to redesign cars to make them cooler and better and faster. Now they just try to make them cheaper, and they still charge us the same. It sucks. It sucks. I couldn't fathom buying a new car in 2026. Why the hell would anybody actually do that? Off-campus visit Tolos. This is a weekly segment going to bring to you on a weekly basis, given its name. And it's going to be covering all things college sports in one go. Right? All things college sports. That could be football, baseball, basketball, all of it in one go. Let's go back to campus, shall we? Let's shotgun some beers, run up and down Frat Row. Clemson and Coastal Carolina now an hour and 35 minutes away from first pitch at Coastal Carolina on their campus. This is this could be the death blow, honestly, for the Clemson season. If they can get this win tonight, that would be a huge, huge midweek win for the Clemson Tigers. Huge, because obviously there's they got the series win against a ranked Boston College last weekend, but they need to get some momentum going, because they already lost to this team once this year. If they could draw even with Coastal, a top 10 team on the road, that would go a long way. And maybe it could help them sneak in. Maybe it could help them sneak in when it comes to postseason play. This blew me away. This quote, I found this like 2 days ago. Hadn't brought it to the show yet. But Kyle Whittingham, the new head football coach at Michigan, it's been he was at Utah for forever. He said something really interesting in the news that I think a lot of you Tolos are gonna, your eyes are gonna bug out of your heads when you hear this. KT's Card Rack said, make them work on their own cars like Sterling Marlin under a caution. You can't get out of your car, Sterling. What are you doing? But Kyle Whittingham predicts that for the 2027 college football recruiting cycle, there will be 12 to 15 schools that will have $50 million rosters. Whoa. Like, I don't know. We might have one now. I mean, we're talking about a 1-year jump. Now, I don't know if that means by the time the 2027 kids are seniors. I doubt it. I doubt that's what he means. I think he means next year. Next year, we're going to see a dozen schools jump to that $50 million range. He said, quote, Kyle Whittingham of Michigan, there are a few schools that can weather that, but not many. So it's already unsustainable for most schools. And it's only going to get more so until we come up with a model that provides some guardrails and works for everyone. So, I mean, he's ultimately saying not a whole lot, right? I mean, yeah, it's unsustainable. We can't afford it. Shut up. You're at Michigan. They have the money. You are one of the few schools or programs that can afford a $50 million roster. But guess what? This thing is accelerated so fast that $50 million is going to be $60 million. And then it's going to be $70 million. And it's going to be $80 million by 2030. That's where we could be with these rosters. It's unbelievable. And then you're really in a situation where not many schools can afford that. But I went back and did some digging here to just to illustrate how fast NIL and the total team budget has accelerated. In 2021, when NIL was launched, Texas's NIL budget was the biggest NIL budget in college football, and it was somewhere between $5 and $8 million. Now there's one player getting that on some of these teams. In a matter of 5 years, we've gone from the team budget is the quarterback budget. Whoa. 2021. Then in 2022, the collectives formed. You remember that year? That was the year Texas A&M's recruiting class was the number one recruiting class ever. Everybody was riding high on Jimbo. And Nick Saban was all over his ass. That team had a total NIL valuation of $20 to $30 million. We went from 8 to let's average it out and call it 25. Tripled in a year. Collectives got involved. They started throwing all kinds of cash at these schools. Then the arms race really took off. Escalation really began. 2023, and that was an absurd number in 2022 what A&M spent on its entire class. 2023, Miami and Texas reportedly spent around $20 million. 2024, Ohio State shocked the world with a $25 million NIL roster. Oh my God, so much money. It's crazy. Who would spend that kind of money for a roster? Guess what? Last year, Texas reset the market again with a reported $40 million budget. So they jumped the shark by $15 million. Ohio State, they jumped to 35. Texas Tech came out of nowhere, second. Red Raiders mentioned on the show today. They spent $30 million and they got them into the playoff. So here's Kyle Whittingham saying by next year, we're going to have like a dozen programs spending $50 million on NIL. That's insane. Let's see. Oh, a lot of messages coming in. Fast and Furious on the stream. Brew Fighter says, I don't want to play in the same division as two Florida teams with no history and empty ballparks. Already bad enough that we have to share division with the Fish and the Nationals. Well, you're already with the Fish, so what's the difference there? I get it. Not want to be in a league with the Rays. That would suck. KT's Card Wreck says $50 million can't buy Michigan integrity. Well, you got a point there. Dewey says, what's the point of professional sports then? That's a travesty. Hey, we got to get to a point where somebody's willing to actually do something about it. Like I asked Lauren Beasley about this earlier. Nobody wants to go down the pathway of employment. Like these numbers are just going to keep growing out of control until we set the market somewhere. Employment could be the way to do it. I don't know. Nobody seems to be able to stomach that idea. But let's just let it keep growing. Let's just let it go from 5 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 70 to 200. What if we got $200 million rosters one day? KT's Card Rack says, didn't they lose to App State with a $200,000 roster? Well, I'm sure those Michigan guys were getting something under the table back in 2007. But I don't think, this is nobody. They were playing for the love of the game back then, Wink, wink. Nobody was getting paid back then. No. That didn't happen. This year, LSU pledged upwards of $40 million. So, hey, Kyle Whittingham's prediction of a dozen schools being north of $50 million for 2027 is an insane number. But it's only insane because it's out of reach right now. It's $10 million above where teams are right now. But if you think they're not going to, A&M, I got you. Yeah. Was that the same year? I'm not sure. I have to go back. I'm an App State guy. I'm an App State fan. I was watching that game. It was awesome. But are we going towards $100 million rosters at some point? I think it's possible until we get a hold of this thing. But how do we get a hold of it? Because nobody seems to have the political will to do anything about it. Next one up for you here on this off-campus visit. Little quick note on recruiting. LSU has secured an in-state commitment from 6'6", 245-pound tight end Ahmad Hudson, the number 1 tight end in the 2027 class. He chose LSU over Nebraska, Ole Miss, Ohio State, and Florida. So they got the money. They're showing the money, right? These are the big money programs, Ohio State and Florida and Ole Miss. I don't know what kind of money Nebraska's throwing around, but LSU's getting them. This one is really interesting. Next up on this off-campus visit segment. Again, we're going to do this every week, sort of a roundtable of all things going on college campuses and in college sports. This is really fascinating because we haven't had this yet this season, but the SEC has submitted a proposal to the NCAA for them to be able to use automated balls and strikes for the SEC tournament later this month. Whoa. Right? I mean, ABS is so hard to put together in college sports because you got 300 some odd ballparks. You'd have to install this system in. I don't know exactly how complex the system is for Major League Baseball. I would imagine there's a whole series of sensors all over the place that can help pinpoint exactly where that ball is. And for a conference tournament, it's obviously much more feasible, right? You got one stadium, one field. That's all you got to do. You don't have to install it in 16 SEC schools, which I do think that's coming. I do think that's going to be the SEC, the Big Ten are going to adopt it first. Maybe the Big 12 then, maybe the ACC. It'll take a couple of years, but maybe when they get tired of their old systems, they'll secondhand them down to the Sun Belt or something. I don't know. But that is interesting. The SEC has submitted a proposal to the NCAA for them to use automated balls and strikes later this month in Hoover, Alabama. I just don't know how players, batters, pitchers, and hitters, and especially college umpires, home plate umpires, I don't know how you adjust to that system in a tournament environment. Like that might be the worst possible place to introduce it. I think, I don't know if this thing will be approved. Who friggin' knows? But like, you don't want to be learning a new system, questioning things. That's just another thing in your hitter's mind. Unless you give them like unlimited challenges, or unless you automatically review every single called strike 3 or called ball 4. That's the only way you could do it and be fair, because I mean, you got players, catchers, pitchers, umps that haven't been trained on this system in the same way. I mean, like they haven't used it in game situations. So we're going to see how that one goes. You know, it used to be a time, P1s or Tolos, that when you got caught for something and you knew you got caught for something, you just sucked it up and did your time. Not now, not in 2026. If you're Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby, who is currently in a residential treatment program for his gambling addiction, who his phone records prove that he placed thousands of bets on multiple sports, we know he was gambling. He has retained an attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, who has famously sued the NCAA many times to try to regain his college eligibility. You know, it's like when you watch those dumbest criminal videos and somebody is in the middle of stealing something and they look right at a security camera and smile like, that's a security camera. I mean, that's what's happened here. That's what's happened. We know that he gambled, and we know that it's illegal for players to gamble. So what are you trying to accomplish here, Jeffrey? What are you trying to accomplish for your client? You're essentially trying to overturn the rule that makes it illegal for players to gamble after the fact. So, but what do I friggin' know? Like, everything gets sued. The things that seem like a slam dunk case to win, they always lose. And the things that seems like slam dunk cases to lose, they somehow find ways to win. So, I mean, all it takes, I guess, is finding the right judge. Can you find a judge with a gambling addiction there as well? A judge in Texas who loves to bet on the ponies? If you can get that judge, Jeff Kessler, you're going to get your client back out into college sports. Now, Sorsby is on Texas Tech's roster. He transferred there from Cincinnati, but you know, gambling, like I said, does come with a permanent ban. If the suit is successful, if Brendan Sorsby and Jeffrey Kessler are successful, then Sorsby could potentially enter the NFL supplementary draft. And like at that point, like who wants him, right? I mean, it'll be fine for him to gamble, but like who still needs a quarterback? I don't know. Dan B gets in on the stream. 844-326-3663 is how you can text into the show. But if you're watching live on the web stream on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube, you can drop a comment there. He says, quick stats, Buckeyes and Gamecocks spend around $20 million a year in NIL. Nebraska got approved for 10. Okay, $10 million bucks. He says, geez, LSU is $40 million in NIL. Where are you seeing 20 for the Buckeyes, Dan? Because Ohio State, they spent 25 in 2024. I have seen reports that suggest Ohio State spent 35 last year. So why would they go down to $20 million? I think the roster budget's more than that. I think it's more than that. But yeah, 40 for LSU. That's the pledge. We don't know what they'll actually spend. Texas spent 40 last year. So the jump to 50 is inevitable. If you missed it to start this segment, we talked about Kyle Whittingham of Michigan predicting that a dozen, maybe 15 schools will have $50 million rosters after the 2027 recruiting cycle. Unbelievable. It used to be 5 to 8 million a roster. Now it's 50 million a roster. And that has jumped that much in 6 years. Whew. Let's see. What is Clemson spending on NIL? You know, JT, I don't know the answer to that question. This is bad radio. What did Clemson football spend in NIL in 2025? According to Google, it says 2025's Clemson football's projected NIL and revenue sharing budget was estimated around $26 to $28 million. That's way bigger than what I would have thought. I mean, if they're revenue sharing the full $20.5 million that they are mandated to share, does that mean they spent $8 million in NIL? That sounds more likely. I don't know. It's most of the stuff is intentionally difficult to find. And remember a couple months ago, Henry McMaster and the state of South Carolina passed a law that meant that these payouts and the distribution of money within these programs at each school could be redacted, could be anonymous, could be hidden. Like we wouldn't get to know how South Carolina is distributing their $20 million. We wouldn't get to know how Clemson is distributing their $20 million. I can't believe that this thing passed. Like I know that schools want the flexibility of being able to allocate the money how they want to allocate it without other people knowing, but these are public institutions, and they're using our tax dollars to support these public institutions. I don't know about you, but I want to know if a lot of my money is going to an institution, I want to know how it's spending it. So there you go, Tolos, your off-campus visit, a look around at what's going on in college athletics. Again, we're about an hour away from Clemson taking on Coastal Carolina. South Carolina has got games this weekend. Who does South Carolina face this weekend? Oh, they got a top 20 team in Alabama. They start on Friday. No midweek game for the South Carolina Gamecocks, but they'll play a home series against the number 19 Alabama Crimson Tide this weekend. Midweek against Winthrop, and a 3-game series against Vandy, who is not the Vandy of old. Thursday, Friday, Saturday of next week. So 2 more weekend series for the South Carolina Gamecocks, Alabama, Vanderbilt, and midweek against Vandy. When we come back, let's blow this thing up a little bit wider and look at the overall sports world. Our Daily Wires coming up next. 76ers last night. Oh, God. I would not want to be facing these New York Knicks. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals last night, 137-98 the final score. Jalen Brunson absolutely unstoppable. 35 points, 12 of 18 from the field. OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges all gave the Knicks 17 points or 18 points. Where did Joel Embiid go last night? Where was he? I mean, like, you're the center. You're the biggest guy on the court for the Philadelphia 76ers. And you had 4 rebounds. 4. And 14 points. You were a non-factor in the game. You played 40 minutes, played the whole damn game. How does a center only get 4 rebounds in an NBA game? Well, the New York Knicks, like I said, pummeled. They've won the last 4 games by an average of 29.75 points. I mean, I think now it's theirs to lose, the whole thing at this point. How do you not pick the Knicks? They don't have to get through the Celtics now. So, God. I mean, they might sweep the 76ers. Philadelphia better do some cheating to get that fan base in that building and keep it hyped. Last night, the Timberwolves took a 1-0 series lead on Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. Wemby played 40 minutes, also a non-factor, 11 points. The lights are bright. Wemby, where you at? Tonight's Cavs-Pistons game 1 at 7 o'clock. Lakers-Thunder game 1 at 8:30. Love that both of those games are on at a decent time. Yeah, I sound old, but I don't care. I'm not staying up for a 10 o'clock tip-off. It's not going to happen. An overtime goal by Hurricanes left winger Taylor Hall pushed the Hurricanes past the Flyers last night, 3-2. Now they go back to Philadelphia with a 2-0 series lead. The Hurricanes actually trailed in this game, though. We talked about it yesterday that they had not trailed at all in these playoffs. They did trail a little bit yesterday. They tied it up late, scored the overtime goal. Chippy game again. Like, I know emotions are high this time of year, but gotta be careful with that stuff, man. When it's a 3-0 series, and I hope it gets to that. You know, these Flyers, they're just going to try to hurt you. They're just trying to beat you up. So Carolina now holds the 2-0 series lead in this game 3, going to be on Thursday. Big gap between games, but hey, hockey's an intense sport. Tolos, I'll be live tomorrow at Ingles Markets, 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. First Tolo to come by and say Tolo to me gets a $25 Ingles gift card. That pays for a lot, Tolos. I mean, that's your dinner right there. You take home a couple sandwiches for you and the wife and the kids for $25. That's a deal. Want to see you out there tomorrow. 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. The Atlanta Braves dropped game 1 of their series in Seattle. Rookie J.R. Ritchie, who is from the area, was fantastic until he wasn't. He gave up a 3-shot bomb in the 5th. Tyler Kenley comes in. He gives up another 2-run home run, and the Braves couldn't answer. But Austin Riley blasted one out of the park. 2 for 4 for Austin Riley. So maybe this means Austin Riley is kind of feeling his mojo, getting it back. Homer for Drake Baldwin, leadoff homer. Ozzy Albies went yard. Matt Olson went yard. Austin Riley went yard. So look, these guys are hitting. It just got weird. It got away from them in the game last night. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. We talked about this earlier with Lauren Beasley. 6-time major champion Phil Mickelson had his name put on the list for the upcoming PGA event and then was immediately scratched. So sorry. PGA does, it has 20 qualifying club pros that are going to be a part of the tournament. And the winner of the Truist Championship and the winner of the One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic will get in, assuming they haven't otherwise qualified. So some tournaments this weekend still going to fill out the last couple remaining spots for the PGA Championship. And that's exciting. I love that about this event, the PGA Championship. Masters brings in, half a dozen amateurs. The PGA Championship this year at Aronimink. It's a hard. Who would name it that? Aronimink Golf Club in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. Scotty Scheffler won it last year. Sepp Straka won the Truist last year. Ryan Fox won the Myrtle Beach Classic. Both of those happening this weekend. The Truist has a $20 million purse. It's a big money coming up. How about that? Truist $20 million purse. That's a lot of cash. A charge against former Tennessee Titans cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, stemming from a shooting at a Dallas car dealership in December 2024, has been dropped. The incident allegedly occurred on December 6, 2024, when Christian Shimanaya, who owns an exotic car rental business — I butchered that name, but that is a hard name, a lot of I's in there. He owns an exotic car rental business and was researching vehicles for his company, was sitting inside of a Mercedes G-Wagon at a dealership in Carrollton, Texas, when he said Sneed and his personal assistant pulled up to the dealership in a rented Lamborghini Urus and shot at him while he was sitting inside of his vehicle. Well, those charges have been dropped. Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson reported on Monday for voluntary offseason workouts after staying home the past 2 weeks. The Colts, they don't want to trade him. They're not moving on from him. They're not getting any closer to it. He requested a trade, but there's no indication that they're going to trade him. He is back in the building for the first time. On Friday, the Colts declined Richardson's fifth-year option, which that will make him a free agent after this season. Stephon Diggs' felony strangulation and misdemeanor assault charges from an alleged December 2nd, 2025 incident at his Dedham home with his personal chef, whom he had hired after a friends with benefits relationship began on Instagram in 2022. The chef testified to being slapped and choked, but the defense highlighted her deleted text messages calling Stephon Diggs names, proof of disputed payments, and video of her dancing energetically soon after. So we'll see how all of this continues to play out. Those are your daily wires. Today, Tolos, if you haven't already started your celebrations, is Cinco de Mayo. When we come back, I'm going to find out if John even knows what Cinco de Mayo celebrates. And I want to celebrate some famous fives in sports. Some of the best players to ever wear number 5, streaks that reached or surpassed the number 5, title runs for the number 5. A lot to get to, celebrating Cinco de Mayo next. Tolos, without Googling it, and John, you can participate in this segment as well. What is Cinco de Mayo? I wonder how many of our Tolos actually knows what it is. I think a lot of our Tolos are going to get it wrong. I think a lot of our Tolos are going to. Dewey, what does Dewey know about Cinco de Mayo? Dewey is commenting on the stream, says he's drinking Mexican beer today. Says, I'm celebrating with Mexican beer. John, do you know, without cheating, without looking at the rundown, because it is on the rundown, do you know, and you have to turn your mic on here, do you know what Cinco de Mayo celebrates?
Not specifically. I just know it's a party day.
Okay.
As
It's
DJ.
a party day.
Yeah.
It's a party day. You'd be right about that, at least the Americanized version of Cinco de Mayo. A lot of people get it wrong because a lot of people think that Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day. It's not. Cinco de Mayo is not, because like we have 4th of July, July 4th, May 5th. It seems like it would, that's where people get the idea from. Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. Mexican Independence Day is September 6th, by the way. But I'm educating you Tolos here. Cinco de Mayo actually celebrates the Mexican army winning an unexpected victory over French forces at the Battle of Puebla, May 5th, 1862. It's celebrating a battle, a big win. They're partying, celebrating that. September 16th is Mexican Independence Day. But we Americans, we don't care about that. We celebrate, we party, we think it's their 4th of July. It's not. Their 4th of July is September 16th. So there you go. You've learned something here. It is Cinco de Mayo. How many Tolos have already started drinking besides Dewey? And I guess Dewey can't start drinking because he never stops drinking. Who's celebrating Cinco de Mayo right now? Where are you going? You going out to what some people refer to as a Sketch-Mex restaurant? The place that brings you the basket of chips. I love them. The one in Malden is my all-time favorite. We go to that place like 3 times a month. It's incredible. The place where they all have the same combinations on the menu. They're so good. They're so good. Computer mice work better on the table, John. There you go. Famous number 5s, though, because it is May 5th. Famous number 5s. How about this one? Kevin Garnett wore number 5 with the Celtics when he won an NBA championship, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. See, number 5 is not the most popular number in sports, right? A lot of people want to be number 1. A lot of number 3s. 6 is popular. 7 is popular. But 5, for whatever reason, 5 is just not a massively popular number. I don't understand why. It's not like 74. You're not getting a lineman number, but number 5, Kevin Garnett was number 5 with the Celtics. He won a title. Jason Kidd wore number 5 late in his career when he was playing with the New York Knicks. Donovan McNabb wore number 5 with Philly. He won 6 Pro Bowls, 5 NFC championships. See, it should be a popular number. Justice for number 5. Reggie Bush was number 5 when he was setting all those records at Southern Cal. Justice for number 5. In Major League Baseball, Albert Pujols was number 5 when he played with the Cardinals. He won 2 World Series championships as number 5. George Brett, Joe DiMaggio, they all wore number 5. Joe DiMaggio wore number 5 while he was on his 56-game hit streak. That's worth celebrating. That's worth being a number 5. Let's go to rings, shall we? Rings, titles, the things that people say, if you don't win these, you ain't nothing. It's all about rings, baby. Ring culture, chasing those rings. Kobe Bryant won 5 NBA championships. He was a centerpiece, the Lakers in the 2000s. He was incredible. That's worth celebrating. Magic Johnson won 5 NBA championships. Showtime Lakers. His fast break was incredible. You couldn't beat him. Tim Duncan won 5 NBA championships. He's a quiet, cool, Tim never talked. Never really threw it in your face. Charles Haley won 5 Super Bowl championships. He was the first player in NFL history to win 5 NFL championships, to have 5 rings. How about programs or franchises that won 5? The 49ers won 5 in 14 seasons. They were the gold standard in the 80s and 90s. See, when I grew up, it was the San Francisco 49ers. They were Brady before Brady. The 49ers with Joe Montana, Steve Young, that was an unstoppable franchise. It was unstoppable. They were incredible. Jerry Rice. Everybody wanted to be the San Francisco 49ers. They were great. Played a different brand of football. They were a different kind of people. I loved it. Golden State, that's a team that never quite reached their 5 championships, but it doesn't change the narrative about them. They were still incredible. They won 4 titles in 8 years, never quite reached that 5, but that 5th ring really kind of became the litmus test for a dynasty, right? We always talk about it. Well, how do you define a dynasty? I'd say a dynasty is 5 titles within 10 to 15 years. That is the definition of a dynasty. You can't be a dynasty when you win back to back. You're on the road. You win 3, you're really pushing there. Like if you win 3 and 5, maybe, but I think you gotta reach a little farther than that. In the 50s, the Yankees won 5 straight World Series. Nobody's matched that. That feels like a mountaintop. You know, it's fictional to win 5 straight World Series. Nobody does that. Then again, in the 40s and 50s, you know, you had the Yankees and you had a bunch of farm boys out there playing baseball. I guess. Tom Brady won 5 Super Bowls before he was 39 years old. And then he kept going. He kept winning titles because, of course, he did. He's Tom Brady. He is the GOAT. I don't like the GOAT conversation. I watched a little bit of Get Up yesterday, and Stephen A. Smith was arguing with, I think it was Jay Williams, arguing about GOAT. And they were talking about LeBron James's legacy. Now we're going down a rabbit hole. But they were arguing about LeBron James's legacy and whether or not, if he doesn't win a title this year, is it a disappointment? Does it change his legacy? And Stephen A. is, you know, he's veteran sports talk radio show host. He has a point. He is going to stick to it, and he's going to argue until you give in or try to change the subject. And he was saying, yeah, LeBron's got to win this thing, right? He's got to win this thing because the Rockets rolled over. Jay was like, well, there's a bunch of GOATs. No, there can't be a bunch of GOATs. That's a herd. If you're in a herd, you're not the GOAT. You're a goot. Like I brought that up to the show. There's a GOAT, there's the greatest, and there's a goot. Greatest of our time. LeBron James, he won 8 straight. He went to the finals for 8 straight years, 5 straight with Miami and Cleveland. So we're talking about, you know, famous 5s in sports, players that won number 5, players that won X number of rings. Derek Jeter won 5 championships with the Yankees. There's some weird 5 streaks to bring up here on Cinco de Mayo. Joe DiMaggio had 5 separate hitting streaks of 30-plus games. That's unbelievable. Ozzie Albies just reached 16. He's got to double it to hit that 30-game hit streak. He's got to double it. 844-326-3663, famous 5s. Wilt Chamberlain won the MVP 5 times. I mean, he was a man amongst boys. His stats look like a video game. It was unbelievable. Jerry Rice went to the Super Bowl 5 times. He won it 3 times, but he was a 5-time first-team All-Pro 5 times in a row. He achieved that. 86, 87, 88, 89, and 90. 5 years in a row, he was an All-Pro. Let's go to the phone lines, bring in Cocky for a Reason. Famous 5s, what do you got for me today, Cocky for a Reason? And are you drinking cervezas yet?
Not yet. I'm not home yet, and I'm driving, so I'm being responsible.
Good for you.
But if you're bringing up fives and you're bringing up, the five that I'm
I
talking
know
about.
exactly where you're
I
going.
ain't got to say it. I don't have to say it.
Can you give us a crow? Can you crow like a rooster for us to celebrate 5 in a row over the Tigers? Cocky, for a reason, if you don't drink 5 beers tonight, I'll never let you on the show again.
5 bourbons.
Well, there you go. Do what you do. That's fine.
I do what I do.
I just want you partying and having a good time. Thanks for the call, Cocky, for a reason. Famous fives. 5 straight for the South Carolina Gamecocks over the Clemson Tigers. Hadn't got there yet. Beat me to the punch, Cocky, for a reason. Hope to see you tomorrow, by the way. I'll be at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg from 3 to 7. Nick Saban won 5 national titles at Alabama, redefining what it means to be a dominant team in the modern era of college football. Before Nick Saban did what he did, like I know Nebraska was amazing in the 80s and 90s, and I know that Miami was amazing in the 80s and 90s, and Florida State was amazing in the 80s and 90s. But Nick Saban redefined the dominant model. Now, obviously, that thing all got all turned on its head with NIL, changed everything, and Nick Saban said, "I don't want to coach in this era. I'm gone." And that's his right. He had earned the right to do it. Notre Dame won 5 national titles in the 40s. I'm shocked that we haven't had Leprechaun of Lyman call in, talk about Notre Dame's 5 national titles in the 1940s. They were unbelievable. So, look, it just keeps showing up all the time. The number 5 on this Cinco de Mayo is worth celebrating. Tom Brady, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Nick Saban, the New York Yankees, Joe DiMaggio, LeBron James. These are the greatest of their sports and their eras, and they all keep cycling around this number 5. Terry Labonte, number 5. You know what? That was the Kellogg's era. Well, did he ever drive for another paint scheme? Because all I remember Terry Labonte for was the Kellogg's paint scheme. You tell me, Texter. Help me out. That is from my childhood, my lore era of NASCAR. But I can't remember if he did anything else. If he, because I remember, gosh, Rusty Wallace was 2, Dale Earnhardt was 3. I'm trying to remember who was 4. Terry Labonte was 5. Mark Martin was 6. I know you guys don't care about this. I'm just going through this in my own mind. Let's do this. Let's jump off to break here just a little bit early. Wrap up this segment. Because when we come back, I've got a whole bunch of sports audio for you. We're going to jump back into this Atlanta Braves conversation, just a little bit about their performance against the Seattle Mariners. Also, going to give you a little preview of what's coming up later on in the week. That's next. Well, enough hearing from me, Tolos. Let's hear directly from the athletes, the announcers, everything that's been going on in the sports world. We mentioned this yesterday. This is an unfortunate story to talk about, but an all-time great, a legend of the broadcasting world left us. John Sterling, the legendary play-by-play voice of the New York Yankees, passed away at the age of 87. I mean, the guy, he called everything. Think about anything amazing that's happened with the New York Yankees over the last 35 years plus. He called it. So I want to step back a little bit. No particular order. And I just want to hear from the legend himself, John Sterling. Here he is calling Aaron Judge's record-breaking 60-second home run.
Here's the 1-1. Swung on. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Number 62 to set the new American League record. Aaron Judge hits his 62nd. All the Yankees out of the dugout to greet him. Just think of it. 3 Yankee right fielders. The Babe hitting 60 and 27. The Jolly Roger hitting 61 and 61. And now Aaron Judge hits his 62nd home run, the most home runs any American leaguer has hit in a single season. And the American League has been alive for 120 years. This is Judgment Day.
Whoa. This is Judgment Day. He had this sonorous quality. He would get loud and boisterous, and then he would bring it back down. And then he would tell you again, and he would bring it back down. 36 years, by the way. 36 years he spent with the New York Yankees. An absolute legend, John Sterling, passed away at 87. Here's another clip. Again, he's called everything over the last 36 years. Here he is calling Alex Rodriguez's 500th career home run.
Unless you've been living in a cave in the Peruvian mountains, you know that Alex hasn't hit a home run for a while. But of late, he's really started to hit better and get a lot of base hits. The crowd is standing. They want one thing. They want to be part of history. I was there when Alex hit his 500th home run. And the right-hander Davies has said, the runners lead. The pitch swung on, hit high in the air, deep down the left field line. It is going to be gone. He's done it. A long, high drive down the left field line, just there for a 3-run home run. Alex Rodriguez has made Major League Baseball history, the youngest player ever to hit 500 home runs.
God, you don't know where he's going with any of these clips. He had a certain style that was all his own. Here's John Sterling calling David Wells's perfect game. David Wells, we see him here in the Upstate all the time for the BMW Charity Pro-Am. He's here, well, almost every year. Here's John Sterling calling the perfect game.
Bernie Williams plays a step around to left. The 0-1. Swung on. He's going to get it. Popped up to right field. O'Neill near the line. He makes the catch. David Wells. David Wells has pitched a perfect game. 27 up, 27 down. Baseball immortality for David Wells. And the Yankees win. The Yankees win.
How do you not listen to this and put a smile on your face? You may be a Met fan, you may be a Boston Red Sox fan, but this guy's amazing. How about John Sterling? Last one here for you on this little mini audio trip down memory lane with John Sterling, the legendary play-by-play voice of the New York Yankees on radio. 36 years he spent with the Yankees calling radio games. Here he is calling Derek Jeter's 3,000th career hit. Joining the club, Mr. 3000. Here it is.
Jeter singled cleanly between third and short his first time. So he is one hit away. He is at 2,999 as he stands in. And there's the chant, which you can hear in the background. Derek Jeter. Here comes the 3-2 from Price. Swung on and hit in the air. fire to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. He's homered. Derek Jeter homers to tie the game. And there it is. Hit number 3,000. Derek Jeter has achieved another milestone in his Hall of Fame career. 15 playoff appearances, 12 All-Star games, 5 World Championships, and now the first Yankee to amass 3,000 hits.
Wow, these legendary radio voices, they had their own sing-song sonorous style. And I love it. Derek Jeter, by the way, finished his 20-year career with 3,465 hits. Couldn't stay in the league for like a couple more months, Derek. Reach 3,500. No. Here's some audio last night from the Carolina Hurricanes Philadelphia Flyers game. Carolina, remember, they were down in this game, and it felt like, oh, okay, they gotta give up one eventually, right? It's playoffs. These other teams are good in theory. I know the Hurricanes are expected to win the whole thing, but they were able to tie it up late, and then they forced this thing into overtime, and it was late in overtime when left winger Taylor Hall of the Carolina Hurricanes put him ahead and ended the game.
Walker scoops it up, speeding through center. Walker in over the line, got it for Hall. Hall, strong move coming in toward the net. They score! Taylor Hall wins it in game 2.
And in just like that, in real-time fashion, the television, ESPN, they play the exact same clip. It was almost like we had them synced up, like just barely not synced up. But that was cool. It was a really good game. Really good game. And like I know a lot of you don't love hockey, but it's the playoffs, and these Hurricanes are really good. Support your local team. Let's go to this one. This is I don't know why this popped up again, but I love this audio clip. I've heard it before. It was about a year ago when this originally came out, but it's popped back up again because this is what we do now in modern society. We don't do a whole lot of new things. We just recycle and regurgitate the same memes because Facebook says, hey, remember 5 years ago when you posted this thing? Hey, remember 12 years ago when you commented on this person's post? Maybe that means people are getting away from Facebook and they're trying to figure out new ways to get you to pay attention to your feed, new ways to get, it's showing you all these notifications for things that are not actually people commenting on new items. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I don't use Facebook anymore. So I don't know. But here is this audio from a year ago. This is hilarious. Jamal Williams had just been picked up by the New Orleans Saints, and he starts talking about beignets. Beignets. This is this little treat that you can buy in New Orleans.
Get those beignets?
Yeah, I'm not impressed. It's just a funnel cake. It's just a funnel cake. So, yeah, the beignets is just a funnel cake.
Like just with the fans, I don't know if that one's gonna,
Go on, man.
land so well.
I'm sorry. I'm not from. I just got here. I respect y'all, your beignets and all that. But in California, we just call them funnel cakes. So, well, that's just where we know them at. I tasted it. Tastes just like a funnel cake. So, that's all. But it's good though if you like funnel cakes.
There are similarities. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Jamal Williams is wrong. There are similarities in the sense that they're both dough covered in powdered sugar. But come on, a beignet is not the same thing as a funnel cake. A funnel cake is the size of a paper plate. If you don't finish that funnel cake and that paper plate is not covered in grease, then you've missed out on the experience. Funnel cake is big. It's dough that's drip dropped into the grease, and it cooks, and you cover it with powdered sugar, and it's delicious. Beignet is not the same thing. A beignet is a small, singular, standalone pastry about the size of a charcoal briquette covered in powdered sugar. It's different. It's very, very different. Don't call it a funnel cake. It's not the same thing. If I was the Saints, I would have cut them right then and there. You can't be bashing on beignets. Come on, man. Come on. Last piece of audio here for you. We played this earlier in the show. We'll bring it back one more time. This is the audio that for some reason has gotten people all up in their feels because apparently you don't get the right to refuse a trip to the White House. If you get invited to the White House, by God, you better go. You don't have a choice. Except this is a free country and you can choose what you do. But Fernando Mendoza is not choosing not to go to the White House for political reasons. He's choosing not to go to the White House because, well, he's on a new football team and it's the first day of practice, so I can't miss practice.
You're planning the trip to the White House, I think 11th, May 11th, later this month. Are you able to make that trip? Are you planning on going there?
I believe May 11th is the first day of OTAs. If I'm not mistaken, I have the calendar. However, I don't have the calendar. Sorry. Well, maybe I do. I'm sorry. I gotta check Teamworks. If it is on the first day of OTAs, like I said, I'm on the bottom of the totem pole here. I gotta prove myself. I can't miss practice. I don't know anything official. I don't have the calendar, but I just wouldn't, as a rookie, I don't think that's a good look. And I want to, try to best serve my teammates. And I don't know if that'd be accomplishing that goal because it's, although it'd be, yeah.
Well, it's I think he was saying, although it'd be a great honor. I hope that's what he was saying. Like, if it can work out, go. But it turns out he is way off when it comes to first day of practice. But let's not put it past Fernando Mendoza to show up a week early because day one of OTAs for the Raiders is May 18th. So I guess he can go if the White House visit is on May 11th. He's got time. Go enjoy it with your team. But what he's trying to say is, I'm trying to ingratiate myself with my new coach and with my new teammates. I am focused on being a Raider. I'm not looking back, right? I'm not looking back at Indiana. I mean, I wonder now with these guys transferring so much, like, do you even go back for reunions? Is it kosher to go back to a reunion for a team that you didn't graduate from, like the school? So like if you went to Georgia Southern your freshman year, and then you transferred to NC State your sophomore year, and you transferred to Tennessee your junior year, and you transferred to Texas your senior year, and all of those teams accomplished something worthy of coming back together and having a reunion, which ones do you go to? Are you going to go to all of them? Do you not go to the Georgia Southern one because it was your freshman team reunion? Like, I don't know how you choose what to do. That's exhausting if you got to go to 4 reunions. I didn't even go to my high school reunion. 20 years. I didn't go. 20 years out of high school. I didn't go to it. I don't care. But like Fernando Mendoza, he's a nerd who wants to be there and learn football for the Raiders. Why are we going to give him a hard time about whether or not he shows up to the White House visit? He's got other things to do. I did find this really interesting. This is not a piece of audio, but we haven't touched on this yet today. We have we did mention it with Lauren Beasley earlier, which we're going to play back at 6:20 on the show if you missed it. Lauren Beasley of USA Today and College Wire talked about Live Golf. This is really interesting. A golfer who is with the Four Aces Golf Club. And again, I have paid zero attention to Live. I understand that it's a Saudi-funded tournament, and I understand that it is team play, and that a couple of formerly great golfers went to go play on the Live Tour because it was a guaranteed payday. Other than that, I don't know much about it. I've never cared enough to learn about it. But every golfer has their reasons for choosing to go to Live Golf. Every golfer has to make a decision on what they're going to do now that it appears that the funding for Live Golf is going away. So this is from Thomas Peters, a golfer that, again, I don't know who he is, but I guess he's good because he's playing on this tour. He was asked about it on an episode of Dan on Golf about what is he going to do if Live Golf folds. And I've never heard a golfer yet. I haven't heard a golfer yet be this blatant about why he does not want to go back to the PGA. Quote, I am definitely never going back to the PGA Tour. I've never liked that life, and that's not me. Having a go at the PGA Tour, it's not for me. With the PGA Tour, you have to tour. Yeah, there's requirements for how many tournaments you play. There's no guarantee that you're going to win much money at all. I mean, like, if you make the cut, you're making a decent amount of money. Let's not cry for these guys. They're making money. But you have to actually go out there and compete for your money, and you have to win money. And if you are constantly finishing 30th, yeah, you're making decent money, but you're not making life-changing money. And that's, I mean, I understand why Liv would want him. I'm definitely never going back to the PGA Tour. I never liked that life, and that's not me having a go at the PGA Tour. It's just not for me. I tried it, and I wasn't happy there. If Liv goes away, I'll probably try and play some on the European Tour, or I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not fussed about it at this point because I feel like I still have a duty to focus on these next 6 or 7 tournaments on Liv, and then we'll see. They're obviously trying to get it together next year. We'll see. And we will see. They got a whole new board of governors. They're chasing down new revenue streams. Maybe they can fund this thing to a level that it is a viable tour. And I said on the show last week that if Liv Golf is able to fund itself and create interesting golf, I'll actually tune in and watch it. But I chose not to watch it because I didn't want to support a Saudi-funded league. He was asked about speculation ahead of the Liv Golf Mexico City event about players not getting paid. He said, we got paid. We are getting paid. It was a week late. Some got it early. Some got it a week late. But I'm not sure these guys check their bank accounts every 2 seconds. Now that's interesting. Some got it early. Some got it late. Who's cutting these checks? I mean, you start messing with my money, that's when we have to have a big time conversation about whether or not I want to participate in your event. I'm great with a week early. I love it. You know, like I miss a while back when I had a bank that would pay me. I would get paid a day early. I get paid on Thursdays. I'm not supposed to get paid till Fridays, but I get this notification. Boom, your check is in your account on Thursdays. It was amazing. But that thing better not come on Monday the next week because I need my money for my weekend. So early is great. Late is unacceptable. He was asked what Liv Golf are telling the players about the future of the tour. He said, not much. I think whatever comes out officially from Liv is what we're getting half a day before it goes out. Scott is telling us that he's going to a broader market and trying to fund this for next year. I guess it's a massive challenge, but we just have to wait and see. So the golfers are finding out like 4 or 5 hours before we do. That's not a lot of time to process and figure out what you're going to do before it goes public. I mean, everybody's looking for the downfall of Liv Golf, and these golfers are finding out just a couple hours before we do. Finally, he was asked whether he has loyalty to Liv Golf, and he says, we're just guessing right now. But if we're playing for $5 million next year, or I could play on the DP World Tour for $3 million, but be close to home, that's something I'd have to look at when it comes. Possibly there's guys going, but I think that's up to Scott and his team to get this thing together, and we'll just have to find out. So the answer there is no. Are you loyal to Liv? Well, it could be $5 million for next year, or I could stay home and play for $3 million. I think that's what I'm going to do. That's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like there's no loyalty there at all. There is a scheduled full player meeting tomorrow in Washington, D.C., so players should know more about what's going on with Liv. So I guess that means midday tomorrow we're going to get an answer on what's happening with Liv Golf. Yeah, so that's it's interesting stuff. Audio blitz and a little additional there for you. When we come back, going to have a special guest on the show. This one kind of fell in my lap earlier today. And I think, especially if you've got kids playing sports here in the upstate of South Carolina, you're going to want to know what's going on with a charter school and its kids being banned from playing in the postseason. We'll touch on that next. Tolos, let's bring it local here for a segment to close out the 5 o'clock hour, the third hour here on this Tuesday. And we're joined right now by Nathan Hamby, assistant coach of Green Charter Varsity Baseball. And I understand, Nathan, that there is an egregious wrong being committed by the South Carolina High School League on your team. Can you give me a quick rundown of what's going on here?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me back on, Diesel. You know, you and I connected with Cole last year sometime at the Meet Beamer thing out in Spartanburg with the USC group, and my good friend Kristen Covington got me on. She's always been there for us and helped us out, so appreciate her and her family, and shout out to her son Coop, who's going through it. So hope your fan base can keep them in prayers. But basically what we're dealing with here in the South Carolina High School League is collusion by other coaches in the Class A, you know, specifically Whitmire, Dixie, and Abbeville. Ryan Sutton, Daniel Little, and Chris Martin have colluded with the SCHL, Jerome Singleton, the commissioner, and Steve Winsky, to get two of our players that were transfers suspended and have the wins that we had with those players playing forfeited, which caused the change in the standings, and in turn getting 15 kids booted out of the playoffs that rightfully deserved to be there. One of those kids is my son, but that case has been resolved, and they have reinstated my son. The other one, though, is egregious in the fact that this is a kid that is on his fourth stop at a high school. We were his fourth destination. We were in no way recruiting this kid for baseball or anything of that nature. DSS had stepped in. This kid started in Lawrence in April of 2025 at Lawrence High School and tried to rekindle a relationship with his mother, left his custodial parents' house, which is his grandparents, to go rekindle this relationship as any teenager would want to do. Things didn't go well in Lawrence, and so the mom moved him to Union, took him out of Lawrence, put him in Union. Once he got to Union, things deteriorated so bad that DSS stepped back in, and DSS said, you know, this is no longer a safe situation for this kid. We're going to move him back to the upstate to his grandparents, his custodial guardian, and we're going to enroll him in virtual school. So this kid went from Lawrence to Union to virtual school, back in his grandparents' custody. And if you know this kid, he's not a kid that needs to be in virtual school. He needs to be around other kids. He needs to be in a social environment. He needs baseball. Baseball does not need him. And so this kid found his way to Green. And they colluded with these three coaches in this league, colluded together to try and find a way to keep Green out of the playoffs. And they used this kid's situation because of the transfer rule. And he played 3 innings with the high school coach last July as a pickup, and the high school coach was filling in for another coach for a team. So it's not like this guy was being recruited or was even playing for the head coach of our school. But they found some game changer stuff where he pitched for 3 innings in July last year, and they used that to take an abusive situation and exploit it to their own good to get Green knocked out of the playoffs and get this kid ineligible, which I think is just a travesty. And, you know, it's red tape. The government, the school district, the SCHL, whatever you want to look at them as, you know, they have this one size fits all policy when it comes to this transfer rule, even though on the college level, kids can go to 5 different schools in 1 year. If their coach is fired, they can leave with their coach, you know, all kinds of different things. But this particular case, they're taking a kid that was in an abusive situation who has been to his 4th high school, which had nothing to do with baseball, and now is excelling in school. He's excelling in the baseball program. He made it there before tryouts. He tried out for the team and made it on his own accord. And he's with people that care about him and love him now. And all of a sudden, him and his team are kicked out of the playoffs because of this.
So,
you know, and they probably.
Coach, we're talking with Nathan Hamby, Green Charter Varsity Baseball assistant coach. You know, looking into this a little bit and pass some information along from Kristen, it sounds like your team took it to these other teams a little bit over the course of the season. would you say it's fair? And I'm brand new to this situation. Is it fair to say that these other coaches might be a little scared of your baseball team?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, that being said, though, we split with Dixie, we split with Whitmire. We took 2 from Ware Shoals, we took 2 from Thornwell, and we lost 2 to Abbeville on the field. Now, granted, that was after we had to tell our team that these 2 players were ineligible and they weren't going to have the playoff season, so they had nothing to play for at that point. But yeah, I mean, we're a low enrollment school, so you have to take your best 7th and 8th graders and play those guys on varsity. And if you've ever played high school sports, at best you're a sophomore on the varsity team, and you're probably not starting as a sophomore. You're probably starting as a junior or senior. So we're showing up with 4 high school kids out of 10 starters, 4 high school kids out of 10 starters. And out of those 4, 2 were juniors, 2 were sophomores, and one of those 4 was a girl. The rest were made up of 7th and 8th graders. So when you pull up on a bus and you step off on with 7th and 8th graders and a female, and you win some games in a conference where these rural schools are used to taking it to everybody, yeah, I'm sure you can upset the balance there and have problems with other coaches. But they shouldn't be taking it out on kids. They've gone as far as stalking Facebook pages on kids.
Gosh.
They've gone as far as sending people over to the baseball facility to videotape and take pictures of our practices of minors. May I mind you, going into people's private Facebook accounts and taking pictures of minors off of Facebook pages. And the SEHL has allowed this to happen. And, there's plenty of other schools out there. I'm not going to name names because they have their own programs and stuff, but there's plenty of other schools out there playing with quote unquote ineligible or illegal players due to the transfer rule. But every case should be taken on a case by case basis, and discretion and common sense should not be thrown out the window. And when a kid is in an abusive situation and moves into a situation, his 4th stop, by the way, to get better, and things do get better, his home life gets better, the abuse goes away, the grades come up, the truancy goes away, he's excelling on the field, off the field, in the classroom, then those things need to be taken into consideration. It shouldn't be just a blank check, one size fits all, and we leave kids in the wake with this eligibility stuff as if they're trash to be thrown out into the dumpster. And that's not fair when these kids produce the results on the field. They deserve to be there. They deserve to have a voice. SCHL this very day has been trying to bully me into taking my Facebook post down, bully my school into keeping me off of the air with you guys. And, if it costs me my coach's position, by the way, I'm not on staff at Green Charter, paid. I'm a volunteer assistant coach. So I'm not affiliated with the school per se on a paperwork standpoint, on a payroll standpoint, any of that. So me just speaking to you today about this situation could cost me my position with these kids. But these kids don't have a voice. And I have friends in the business, whether it be you guys, the Rise guys at 93.3, a lot of people like Kristen that are willing to let me get out here and have our voice heard for these kids that deserve their shot on the field. They're not going to get it because the playoffs, they started 45 minutes ago. And there's some teams in there that we took 2 from. There's some teams in there that forfeited against us. And we're sitting at home having to watch it, all because they exploited in a situation where a kid was being abused and used a loophole in the transfer rule to get them banned from playoffs. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I think Jerome Singleton and Steve Winsky should be held accountable at SCHL for these decisions. I think Ryan Sutton and Daniel Little and Chris Martin should be accountable for stalking minors on Facebook and Game Changer apps and pulling pictures out of parking lots of minors. I think those guys should be held accountable for that. And if it costs me my position at the field with these kids, then at least I can sleep at night knowing I gave these kids a voice because nobody else is listening to them.
Yeah, that's a heck of a principle to stand up for, and it's worthwhile. That was going to be my next question, sort of what's the timeline here, but unfortunately it sounds like the clock has run out, and they're not going to, unfortunately, they're probably not going to reinstate you into the playoffs at this point. There's nothing else that can be done, but it's the hurt and it's the cost to the kids that want to be playing in the playoffs, that qualified for the playoffs. And I'm with you, Coach. It's not right.
Yeah, it's not right, man. And, A week or two ago, Cole was going to put me on. The AD came to me and he asked me, hey, let's not do this just yet. It may, make SCHL dig their heels in deeper. I didn't. I held off. They reinstated my son. And by the way, all they had on him was some pictures at a Erskine camp with the Erskine staff, and both the Erskine staff and his previous middle school. He's an 8th grader, 110 pounds soaking wet, by the way. So I doubt very many varsity coaches are scared of him. But, they used him. They found a way, and they used him to get wins taken away from us, just like they used our other player and his situation to get wins taken away from us from a loophole. It wasn't because they were necessarily scared of those two kids. It was because it hurt the team as a whole and made their chances better. And that's not fair to those kids. It's not fair to the other 13 kids on that team that had nothing to do with the transfer. They don't fill out the paperwork. They don't make the rules. They just go show up every day for practice, work their butts off, get out there on the field, compete, do everything that the coaching staff and the school asks them to. They're there on time. They keep their grades up, and now they're punished because of this. That's not fair. If we did something wrong as a coaching staff, if we did something wrong as a school, then come after us, fine us, whatever you need to do, fire us, kick us off the team, tell us we can't coach, but don't go after the kids, man. The kids don't have nothing to do with this, and that's not fair.
Coach, you're right. It's absolutely not fair, and I feel for you, and I'm sorry for the situation that the team is in and the kids that deserve to be playing. All they want to do is keep playing. Want to invite our Tolos, if you want to reach out to the South Carolina High School League about this and have your voice be heard, and if you've been convinced here by Coach Nathan Hamby that it's worth reaching out to them, go to their website, schsl.org. You scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a contact telephone number and an email that you can have your voice be heard. Again, Coach, sorry that your team is going through this. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the kids, but hopefully we'll have some of our Tolos reach out.
Well, we appreciate guys like you, guys like Cole, guys like the Rise guys, Fat Boy over there that pour into high school sports and are willing to give guys a voice. This is not going to be the end of it. We've got attorneys involved. Kids not going to get to play in playoffs. That's okay. We leave Class 1A this year. We head into Class 2A. So, we're leaving all this behind us. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't feel right if we didn't give these kids some sort of voice. And I appreciate you being a helping hand in that.
Absolutely. Coach Nathan Hamby, assistant coach at Green Charter Varsity Baseball. It's unfortunate what they're going through, and appreciate your time today. Let's go ahead and jump off of this. When we come back, we'll jump back into a conversation from earlier about the Atlanta Braves, the L that they took, but it wasn't all bad for the Atlanta Braves in Seattle last night. Also, some proposed changes to Major League Baseball that I know a lot of Atlanta Braves fans, a lot of baseball fans from all across the country are not happy about this proposal. We'll get into it next on the Fan Upstate.